Story 1. This happened a few days ago. I apologize for the formatting. I'm on mobile. Let's set the scene. I'm 14 and I was at the hospital visiting my mom, who is a nurse, in the waiting room. My brother and I decided to surprise her for her birthday by showing up with flowers and a card. Our dad dropped us off but couldn't come in because he was on a conference call. He's an information technology worker. The receptionist told us to wait for a bit as they were in the middle of a surgery. During this time, I pulled out my Nintendo Switch because I was bored and decided to load up some Mortal Kombat 11. My brother, who didn't really want to play, decided to because he was also bored and because I also kind of begged him to play. I handed him a Joy-Con and we selected our characters, mine being Sindel, my main, and his being Sub-Zero, his main. We battled it out on the Deadpool stage, which ended up in a 2-1, and I won. My brother handed me the Joy-Con, and as I took it, I heard a tap on my shoulder. Here enters the entitled mother and her kid. She was a classic Karen. Blonde hair, 90s clothes, a nasally voice, and eyes that said, "Can I speak to your manager?" Entitled mother: "Hello, I was wondering if my son could play that nice game you were playing." The kid looked to be around 10 or 11 years old. I smiled and said okay, but warned him it was a bit graphic. She said, "I'm sure it will be fine." I said, "Okay then." We started off with selecting characters, and he warned me that he was going to, according to him, kick my butt so hard. I smirked and instantly locked Sindel, splitting hairs, while he picked Noob Saibot, seeing double. He asked to review the moves, and I let him because I wanted him to have a fair chance. He did, and we began to fight. I started the round off with a forward 2-1 combo into an amplified scream. He began furiously mashing the buttons. He hit me with a 2-1-2, which did some decent damage, but it ended in a 2-0, with me performing the hair today gone tomorrow fatality, in which gore warning Sindel does a quick backwards cartwheel, and then uses her hair to grab the arms of her opponent. Then she screams at them so loud their skin starts to tear off from the face to the waist, and their bottom half falls away, showing their intestines and all of that. She then does a star screamer to blast the remaining bits apart, so they fly all over the screen. All of a sudden, I hear the entitled mother's voice yell, "What the heck did you show my kid?" My brother and I both jumped, and I turned to her. Me: "Miss, you allowed him to play this, and I even warned you that it was gory. You didn't seem to care." Her: "I don't care. You should have let him win so he can traumatize you with this nonsense." She tries to grab the Switch from me, and I pull away, leaning into my brother as she swipes at me again, her nails scratching at my hands. "Give me that." My brother turns to her and pushes her away. He's the more confrontational one. "Hey, leave him alone. It's a game that he warned you about, and again, you didn't listen." At this time, my mom walks in and sees the commotion going on. "Mom, what's going on here?" The entitled mother, switching into victim mode, says, "You have to help me. Those horrible teenagers tried to show my son a murder game, and they tried to assault me and my son." Mom, immediately seeing us, terrified, says, "Boys, did you do that?" We both shook our heads. The entitled mother then says, "They're horrible children. They should be arrested." She then turned quickly and gave us a smirk, then switched back into victim mode. My mom then said, "I highly doubt what you're saying is true. For one, we have cameras everywhere, and two, they're my kids." The entitled mother, spluttering, "They're your kids." My mom nods, and the entitled mother starts going on a rant about how bad of a parent she is, and my dad must have left home for another woman he hasn't, but my parents are divorced. My mom immediately went into rage mode. "Be quiet about my kids. You have no right to judge them for the games they play. I got that game for him for his birthday. You also don't have a right to judge me for being a mother. Receptionist, call security and have them escort this woman out." The receptionist nods, and in minutes, 3 burly guards are there. 2 of them get her out of the room, and the third one stays behind to ask what happened. The entitled mother's kid is following her, asking why they can't stay. We walked outside to see the woman getting handcuffed and put in a police car, and a police officer asked us if we wanted to press charges. We said yes. She was charged with assault, destruction of property, the Nintendo was a bit scratched, and attempted theft. Dad walked over, putting himself on mute so the others in the call couldn't hear him. He asked us what happened, and we gave him our story. He nodded and then apologized before returning to his call by the car. Story 2. Backstory: a buddy of mine's family runs a small convenience store and tackle shop in the United States, and I help out every now and then since I work at a gas station. Like 98% of stores, the shop is currently operating on a one toilet paper towel item per family policy. My friend's dad, the owner, told me in person that no one is allowed to buy more than one per family, no ifs, ands, or buts. Cue the scene. I'm waiting out the last half hour when I said I'd help run the store on my own, when the entitled dad and his kid walked in, decked out in fishing gear. The entitled grabs a packet of worms, some sodas, ice, and snacks. As he passes by the toiletries section, he grabs 4 packages of toilet paper. Me? I'm sorry, sir, but store policy is currently only one per family. I call that out across the store, but the entitled dad ignores me. He and the kid select a few more things and walk up to the counter. The kid is trying hard to not be seen, so I can tell he knows what's coming. Me. Sir, unfortunately, I'm only able to sell you one toilet paper package right now. The entitled dad already getting angry. Well, why not? Due to the pandemic and shortage, our store is only allowing one toilet paper item per family. Well, there's no sign back there. Yes, there is, sir. There's a sign every 6 feet around the store and at the register, listing what items are being limited. Well, I know the owner, and he says it's okay for me to buy as many as I want from here. The embarrassed kid has now retreated to the door, clearly wanting to leave and not be here. You spoke to the owner? The entitled dad getting irritated now. Yes, I did. Now are you going to ring me up or what? The owner specifically said that you could buy however much you wanted. Yes, can you please hurry it up? I want to be on the lake soon. Sir, I know the manager didn't say anything to you because I'd have known about it. Are you calling me a liar? I'm reporting you to the owner the next time I talk to him. How about now? I pull out my phone. What? I call the owner and put him on speaker. Let's call him right now. If he says it's okay, I'll ring you up and apologize. Before the entitled dad can say anything, the store owner picks up. Hey, what's up? Nothing much. I have a customer here, and he says you told him he could ignore store policy on toilet paper. Sir, can I have your name so I know who I told? The dad's face breaks out in hope, thinking he's bluffed his way through this, and gives his name. The entitled dad's name. I don't know who you are or what you're talking about. I haven't told anyone that they could ignore store policy. By purchasing more than one, you are possibly depriving others that may desperately need the toilet paper. And if you're using the bathroom so much that you need more than one package, I would seriously suggest you consult a doctor, not just buy more toilet paper. If you can't follow store policy like every other customer that's come in, then you can leave. The store owner hangs up. The entitled dad has his mouth open in shock, while his embarrassed kid is looking like all major holidays and his birthday are happening today. The dad shuts his mouth, stands in front of the register for a few seconds, shouts a final "forget you," and storms out of the store, leaving all his items at the counter. Story 3. This happened maybe about a year ago, before the whole pandemic started. The weather had been nice, and I had just gotten some sirloin steaks. I haven't used my grill since the previous year, so I decided now would be a good time to try it out. For a few days, a group of construction workers had been busy working on a new house. It's built now, and it's pretty nice, way too expensive for me though. But it had been hot and/or rainy almost the entire duration of the build, and they were working really hard the whole way through. So I decided to be nice, and after going over to the site, I yelled for them to come get some free food when they went on break. They were incredibly grateful. There were about 5 workers present, and 4 of them showed up for steak while the other passed. I had enough for everyone, including one for me, and we had a nice time chatting and getting to know one another. One was a veteran of the Marines back in the early 80s. He's friends with my grandma now. One was even related to the sheriff of our county. Anyway, amid the conversation, we heard an "excuse me" from the other side of the fence. My neighbor is this middle-aged woman with a super freaky son. He was this substance user influencer who loved to go on social media and lived off his mother's paycheck every week while living on her couch. He was also in his mid-30s. There she was, on the other side of the fence. Entitled mother. My son was wondering if he can have some steak too. Me. Sorry, I don't have any left. But you have enough for all of them. Yeah, I do. If he wanted some, he should have come earlier. No, you should have bought enough for everyone. Construction worker 1. Look, lady, this guy was nice enough to cook steak. Don't you have work you should be doing? Construction worker 2. We're on lunch, ma'am. She soon left in a huff, but not before shouting that she was calling the police. I was the only one who heard that, I think, so I asked the relative of the sheriff if there was really anything the police would arrest me for. Of course, he said no. In his words, there are no laws against not sharing. I asked if we should tell her that, and he again said no. Again in his words, it would be the most fun they've had on the job ever since they started building that house. No, I actually did have an extra steak. I was saving it for later. Sure enough, after the construction workers went back to the site, who's to show up but a police officer? No light, so it's a non-emergency, but he parked right outside the entitled mother's house. Both she and her grown kid walked out and greeted the police officer. I walked out on my own lawn, and the entitled mother pointed straight at me. I can't quite remember everything said here, but she was accusing me of discrimination because I left her 30-ish-year-old little boy out of our little steak party. I swear, it was like a kindergarten lunch. The police officer obviously shook it off, warned her to not get the police involved in something so ridiculous again, and started to leave. But I said, "Wait, officer, are you hungry?" "Well, I haven't had lunch yet." "Why?" "May I offer you a steak?" Entitled mother. I knew it. You do have more steak. I demand you give it to my son, now. Police officer. And I demand you both go back into your house before I arrest you for disturbing the peace and, possibly, harassment. B. But you can't do that. He can't do that. Tell him, her son's name. The grown kid. I just wanted some steak. Officer, you have to do something about this. This man is performing a hate crime on my son. We both actually laughed. The police officer said something along the lines of "have a good day," and I led him into my backyard. I had to give him the steak raw since he had to go back on his patrol, but we had a good laugh. The entitled mother and her grown kid finally went back into their house, and every time that I see them nowadays, she scowls at me, while her son just pays no attention. I occasionally see that same officer from time to time, and every time I see him, he asks the same thing. Did you remember to share today? Story 4. I'm going to try and keep this short. I'm 15 years old and live in Croatia. Cast. Entitled mother, me and my dad. The man who bought my dog, he's a very good person who was clueless about the whole thing. Backstory. I had a small dog called Bongo. I know it's a weird name, but I was young, and I really wanted a dog named Bongo, who went missing when I was 10, so my mom said. I was very sad when that happened and didn't want to talk to anyone for a week. My mom tried to cheer me up by taking me to the toy store and to buy me a Hot Wheels car, but she mostly bought herself clothes and shoes, and I only got 3 Hot Wheels cars only because that day, it was a buy 2 get 3 deal for them. A couple of weeks ago, I was going to a car meet in Zagreb when I spotted a dog that looked exactly like my Bongo. Bongo has his left eye missing because of another dog who was attacking him, so that's why I knew it must be him. I told my dad I'd be back in a minute and walked up to the man who was walking him. Conversation as follows. Everything was translated from Croatian. Me. Excuse me, sir. May I see your dog for a second? Man. Yeah, sure. He's very good with people. He's not going to bite. May I say he looks exactly like my dog? Oh, what's his or her name? His name was Bongo. His name is also Bongo. Sir, where did you get this dog? At this point, the dog started to whine out of happiness and started jumping around like crazy. I bought him from a lady 5 years ago. My heart sank to the floor. Can you please describe the lady who sold you the dog? Short dyed blue hair, had a small blue purse, and she drove a white Kia. You literally just described my mom. She said my dog went missing 5 years ago. I asked the man if he could come over to our house with Bongo to ask my mom a few questions. He said yes. I explained everything to my dad, and he also recognized the dog. When we got home, when Bongo stepped into my house, when my mom saw him and the man, everything started coming together. I wish you could have seen my mom's face, white as a ghost. We had a serious talk for several hours, and Bongo ended up back with me. We helped the man get another dog and kept in touch. I stopped talking to my mom, and I'm still not talking to her. And also, my mom is a serious liar, a horrible person who did many other bad things, which I won't talk about now, maybe some other time.